Here we are again, bringing you part 4 on the series of Angola prison, the Angola farm, and then Joe Biden in Angola, all a series of shows which is provoked by Joe Biden's visit to Angola, of course, to nail the last, to hammer the last nail on the Lobito Corridor project. But we are here revealing more as his visit to Angola has opened a can of worms. So this is, of course, what made me to look at is that after he made that speech in Luanda, in the capital of Angola, with regards to actually at the National Museum of slavery. That's where I started to dig. What is the connection between slaves and between slaves in Angola at that time and also and the United States. So this led, of course, to how the so-called first black slaves arrived in the United States, and from there, how for the hundreds of years that plantation was done by these slaves and then slave owners exploiting their labor work, and after that how the state Louisiana bought that land to make it a prison, and still the prison continued to be called the Angola prison and the Angola farm still because the plantation is going on, reaping the free labor from the prisoners. Now, this part or this episode of on a series of Angola is bringing you up regarding the Angola farm, why it is called the Angola farm, how it was enabled, how it is incorporated in the American institution, in the American Constitution. So those are the things I am going to look at. So I have this research paper, an article published not long ago, meaning, just for a few years. So I am going to read that for you because this is really an eye-opening article. And I don't know how many of us, let alone for Africans, who are outside of, like, Black people from outside of the United States, but also Black people who still live, who are in the United States. I don't know how many of you know the background story of the Angola prison or the Angola farm. For me, when I found out, it was really a mind-blowing and eye-opening one. So allow me just to go ahead and read about it. So this is in America in 1865, in the year 1865, slavery was abolished, but quick enough, in the same year, there was this amendment. It's called the 13th Amendment, and that actually kept slavery alive. Some call it the modern slavery, but there is nothing modern in it. It's all slavery going on in the 21st century in the United States, in Angola farm. So these perspectives are from the prison where slavery never ended. Now, in this article, they look at also the life story of 3 people, but I will stick to, the general part of it without going to the personal story, okay? Giving you a background how the slavery in the United States never ended. First of all, look, when the state of Louisiana bought that land and made it a prison, this prison came the largest prison secured, or the maximum prison secured, actually not only in the United States, but also in the world, having more than 6,000 prisoners. Out of it, 75% are these incarcerated men, are Black people. And from all the prisoners, 90% of it do not make it out of the prison. They are sentenced to life and they died there and they are buried there. They will never leave that premises of the prison. And the plantation in which the prison was built on is still going on around it. And guess what? The plantation is getting its labor work from this prison. That's why it's called the Angola farm, or just the farm. Because these slaves who arrived from Angola were the one who are working in the plantation, and then when the state bought it to make it a prison, it continued to be called the Angola prison and the Angola farm, because both are going on side by side. Okay, so without further ado, let's read how all this is enabled. Okay, bear with me. So when the 13th Amendment was ratified in 1865, slavery was formally abolished throughout the United States, except, in quotation, except as punishment for crime. So this is in quotation. This was what is inserted in that 13th Amendment. Slavery was abolished, in quotation, except as punishment for crime. In reality, the policy only abolished slavery, the form of slavery in which a person is considered the property of another. But when that person, he becomes or she becomes, in prison, then, or become a prisoner, then free labor is allowed to use. In other words, this is slavery. Okay, now the same thing happened, by the way, in the UK. I will share it with you later, more deep in the article. Okay, so now the article is saying they are following about the life stories of three people who spent, especially those wrongly imprisoned in the South, spent years working in prisons for mere cents per hour, while those beyond prison walls profited from their work, meaning the plantation owners. Some call this condition modern day slavery, but those who lived through it will tell you there is nothing modern about it. Okay, now those 5 words which is slightly there inserted in the 13th Amendment, which says except as punishment for crime, is the one that carved out an exception that enabled incarcerated people to be used as a free and forced labor, and paved the way for mass incarceration, particularly of Black Americans, that will still see to this day. That's why we tell you, still in the 21st century in the United States, slavery is going on. Do you live in the United States? Are you Black? Do you know about this? So this is the time to be awakened and do your own research and know about this more, and then, become a voice to the voiceless. Most of them, there also a significant amount of those Black male which are taken from their household, leaving the woman behind, and the children are wrongly convicted and purposely prisoned there because there is a general agenda of killing the Black generation and keeping them in poverty and giving them a certain character of this society or this race in the United States. Let me continue now. Now, today, prisoners in most states are paid a nominal wage in the range of cents per hour for their work. However, a few states, including Texas, Georgia, and Florida, do not pay prisoners at all. And private companies save millions of dollars each year by contracting prison labor. Actually, this is why I think privatization of prison is encouraged. Now I know. But nowhere The article continues, but nowhere is the evolution of slavery into mass incarceration more clearly than in places like Parkman Farm in Mississippi and Louisiana's Angola Farm, from which 8 innocent project clients have been freed so far. Now, here they are following the story of clients like Malcolm Alexander, Henry James, and in Innocence Project New Orleans, Clyde Calvin Duncan. So they are following their stories, and they share their stories of survival and strength across decades of incarceration in America's bloodiest prison. These are not my words, huh? This is in the article. In America's bloodiest prison. Look at this. Now, this is a picture. I just want to make it in big so that you can see. I mean, this. Okay, look at this now. This is a picture taken in 1901. Prisoners picking cotton at Angola farm under the Convict leasing system, 1901. Image, Louisiana State University libraries, it says libraries. Let me read it full. A prison guard oversees incarcerated people as they return to the dorms from farm work. Detail at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola, farm, in Angola prison. This is on August 18, 2011. The guard writes, not the picture. The picture is in 1901. Okay, do not. Don't get me wrong. Okay, the guard rides atop a horse that was broken in and trained by incarcerated people. Oh, this one is, I think this description is for this. This is in 2015. Okay, this picture here is in 1901, picking at the cotton farm. So I think they have mistaken the caption. This one is supposed to be the 2015 is here. Watch it here. Okay, as they go back to their dorm after giving their free labor. This day, still, this is going on. Now, a brief history of Angola. After chattel slavery, so after chattel slavery was abolished in 1865, Jim Crow laws, which is laws designed to limit the freedoms of newly emancipated slaves, were almost immediately instituted at the state and local levels. Such policies imposed curfews on Black people, prevented them from getting certain kinds of jobs, and kept them out of certain neighborhoods. The last of these laws were struck down as recently as 60s with the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts. Remember, do not be surprised by these laws. I mean, the American Constitution have still a law that says that Black people are not equal to a human being. If you're a Black people in America, I think that is the first thing you should try to do by coming together to amend that or to take out that law out of the Constitution in which you are governed by. Now, as a punishment for violating these laws that Jim Crow, what he has put in the law, also called the Black Codes, Black men, women, and children would be sent to prison and were frequently leased out as labor to private businesses, including plantations and mines, under a system known as convict leasing. The system incentivized the mass incarceration of Black people to create a supply of cheap, if not altogether free, prison labor to replace the slave labor upon which the plantation and other industries have previously relied. Angola, named for the country where most of its slaves came from, was one of those plantations. After the abolition of chattel slavery, Angola relied on the labor of prisoners leased from the Louisiana State Penitentiary, also known as the Angola prison. However, in 1898, the convict leasing system was banned. The state of Louisiana then purchased the 8,000 acre plantation in 1901, establishing the Louisiana State Penitentiary on the grounds and taking control over the prisoners previously leased to the plantation. Look, these are the prisoners working, giving their free labor. Look at this working on the plantation. Let me make it big for you. Yeah, okay. So look at this. These are the prisoners. This is working on the plantation. It's all taken. This is taken. The prisoners here is taken in 1915. This is taken in 1911, and this is taken in 1901. It says howling seed cotton to the gin, Angola, GIN, Angola State Farm. And this one is taken in 1934. Look this, Angola prison in 1934. American folk singer Hoodie William Ledbetter, known as Lead Belly, in foreground image Library of Congress. Yeah, it's then again repeating. So let me continue. Oh, my reading, my goodness. Now, today, the prison spans from 18,000 acres, most of it farmland, and its slavery era name is still in use. That is the Angola farm. And now this article is published in 2021. Okay, so it was at that time the land still okay, the land acre still remains the same, but the number of prisoners, okay, at that time, this is like 3 years ago, it was yeah, so it was 5,300 people are incarcerated at Angola. I have read an article that was published recently, 2023, and actually the number of prisoners is around 6,500, and the number of staff remains 1,800, one of the largest staff for prison in the world. So many of them who live, these workers live with their family on the prison grounds, which includes school, golf course, tennis courts, and pool for their use. This is for the prison workers, okay, not for the prisoners. People incarcerated at Angola are paid a few cents an hour to work the same field that their, let's say, ancestors, since most of them are Black people, have been working in the plantation, picking cotton, corn, and more from the same land slaves were forced to work 200 years ago. Imagine yourself taking a tool as a Black person and working on that farmland. I leave that for you. Yeah. So some incarcerated people are even tasked with fishing, cooking, and doing repair work for the free men, as people in prison at Angola call the prison staff. Angola is essentially a place where slavery never ended. Not only in the United States, but also in the world. Anyway, the United States is part of the world. So in the world, as people who live in this world, we have failed to end slavery. If anyone tells you slavery has ended long time ago, it's a lie. You can cite what's happening in the Angola prison in Louisiana state in the United States. Now, the article talking about these three people that they are following their story, Malcolm, Henry, and Calvin, all spent time in the fields of Angola after being wrongly convicted in separate crimes that occurred within years of each other. Like 75% of people incarcerated at Angola, they are Black. Another vestige of slavery still visible at the prison, which is the country's largest. And like 70% of Angola population, all three men were sentenced to life in prison. This is 70% in 2021, right? In 2023, it is 90% of the people are sentenced to life and will not make it out. Even those who make it out of the prison, the 10%, are mostly, I was sharing previously in my previous episode or series about Angola video. There was a man that was told to be, he thought he was there for a decade, but he came out after 57 years. Now, Louisiana has one of the highest rates of exonerations in the country, with 64 people having been exonerated in the state to date. However, this figure reflects only the wrongful convictions we know about and that have resulted in exonerations. And so these people, the ones that this article is following the story, Malcolm, Henry, and Calvin, are all free today. Their experiences of wrongful conviction still weigh heavily on them, because this article were making or following this story, particularly stories those who are wrongly convicted. They do that deliberately. This is, of course, their stories. Personally for the three of them. Now, I would like also to end this, what one sister wrote about it. Okay, this is the same thing. Look at it in 2015. Look at it's slavery, except that this picture is in color. I mean, what is the difference? Angola prison still represents the indifference to Black male incarceration. Let me try to share this so that you know I have done my research and I'm sharing with you based on research, and that's what makes this platform different. Look, this was written by one sister. Angola prison still represents the indifference to Black male incarceration. Hear this out. Imagine today if the largest maximum security prison in Germany was built on top of a former German Nazi concentration camp. In this prison, 80% of the population were Jewish men, where most were serving life sentences. A sentence that would mean that they would die on the same site as the former camp. This is what poet, author, and educator Clint Smith asks us to envision in his latest book, How the Word is Passed, an incredible feat of truth-telling. Now, of course, this scenario would be unfathomable, and as Smith describes it, a global emblem of anti-Semitism. Yet, this is exactly what has occurred on American, or rather indigenous, Choctaw soil. The only difference is that instead of Jews imprisoned in a former Nazi concentration camp, it is black men imprisoned on a former Louisiana slave plantation. So she's drawing or painting this picture for us. Imagine what will happen if this happened to Jews. And but this is happening to black people, and we black people are doing nothing about it. Another quote from her article is that the current prison labor system is no better, just an update, with black men working across the 18,000 acre land for virtually no pay, 2 cents an hour, according to the state's 2015 pay regulations. I'm not going to go more in detail into the article, but you can go and read it. Let me see if I can uh, uh, put that in the chat section so you continue to read that and educate yourself and share it with your family, with your network. That is the biggest favor you can do to the people that you know, to black people, if you are black. So yeah, I would like to end it there. Please go ahead and, share your view, your comments, what you felt, about it. So how do we go about it? Are we just, continue like this? Yeah, let us know your view in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. But please go ahead and share the video with others. And yeah, give it a like if you find it informative enough. Subscribe to the channel. And you may support us through our PayPal account. You can find it in the description section. Common Man 80, thank you, for all your inputs. Who am I missing? Muyiwa, okay. And yeah. That's all I have. Thank you so much. And I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.